Welcome to this BEC podcast. My name is Rasmus Bæk, and today I invited a coach who know how to handle the best, Jonas Lyduch from Denmark, but also coaching for the Netherlands. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jonas, we have been knowing each other for years now. I have seen you coaching on the club level, on national level, and now I see you work with some of the absolute best players in Europe. As a coach working with players on different levels, what are the most significant skill you should actually bring as a coach?
First of all, I think that have a good knowledge about the game, of course, is important. But I would say that from my experience, that to create a good relation between the coach and a player. So I find it's difficult to get on the same page in coaching situations and training if you don't build some kind of good relation. And by relation I mean that you can both be hard on the player, but you can also joke around a little bit and talk about other stuff. I mean, for me that's a very important thing. I feel like when I get that aspects in with the player, I also get my badminton knowledge more into the player. So that's the short answer.
That's the short answer. Jonas, you're wearing the orange colors of Holland, or the Netherlands, and you are wearing the flag as well, but you're Danish. You're living in Denmark, but you're coaching coaching the Dutch players. What is this thing actually? Because for somebody it might seem quite strange.
Yeah, I 3 years ago I moved to the Netherlands, where with the back then technical director Klaus Poulsen hired me as an assistant national coach. So I've been living in the Netherlands for 3 years, where my responsibility was mainly for the single group, both the ladies singles and men's singles. Then I decided in April that I wanted to stop, because I felt that I missed home and the stuff I had in Denmark. And then they asked me if I wanted to continue with the men's singles until the Olympics. That of course is mainly Marc, but also Johan Kvegel. And I accepted that. So the guys are in in Denmark a lot and train with me, where I built a training group also with some Danish players and some foreign players who plays in Denmark. So that's the story behind that. And yeah, it's working fine so far. I mean, we had a good training in Denmark, but it's different from when we were based in the Netherlands, and work there at the center on a daily basis. So here it's a little bit when the guys are out on tournaments. I don't travel to all the tournaments, then they come back and train with me. So that's pretty much the deal at the moment.
If we start to look at the practice part, then we can talk about the coaching and traveling part afterwards. If you look at, for instance, Marc, he told us in this podcast actually that he's very happy with the work that you guys are actually doing.
Yeah.
Have you seen Marc increase his level in the past 1-2 years? Is that a main reason for you to actually continue working with him, or what is the reason behind still working towards the Olympics?
Yeah, I think like I started working with Marc in December 2016, because I was with the doubles in the beginning. And yeah, I think we have improved a lot. I mean, he has some good results over the past years. And I of course think he can do a lot of things better. I've also told him I think there's a lot of things that can be improved. So of course I would like to continue that road and that work with him. I also think that for Marc it's a big goal to reach the Olympics. So what I felt most bad about when I said I wanted to stop was actually I felt I left him a little bit alone in the period that's maybe the most important of his career. But sometimes as a coach you also need to think a little bit about yourself. So I think that he has improved a lot, and I can see him still develop. I think we have a good relation. Like I talk about with Marc, I can joke with him, I can be hard with him, and I can tell things honest. And that was also the main reason why I wanted to continue. That I felt that we still have something to offer for each other.
And when you then look at Johan Kvegel, how far can he actually take? We have seen Marc taking it to challenge level, Super 100 level, Super 300 level, where he's actually quite competitive. What about Jonas?
Yeah, I see Johan has the same potential as Marc. They are different players, different place in their careers. Johan struggled with some injuries after his juniors. He got a medal at the junior Europeans the year I started. Extremely hard worker, has also decided to dedicate a lot of time to be in Denmark. Has a lot to learn, and is still a year or two away from where Marc was when I started. So he still needs a lot of training, a lot of knowledge. He's very eager to learn. So for that part, I mean, it's always difficult to predict what level can he reach, but in the daily training and also in the results he's making slowly, I see that he can go up and be a top player in Europe for sure.
Now you say that the plan is to work towards the Olympics. What after?
I don't know really. It's a question I've been asked before. I mean, the Netherlands asked me if I want to continue to the Olympics, and I accepted that. And at this moment, of course, the goal is to qualify Marc, and is to develop Johan as much as possible on this road also. So it's not only about Marc. Jonas is also important, but that's the main thing. I assume the Netherlands at some point also would like to have the setup back in Arnhem at Papendal. But yeah, I would like to continue to work with them if that's the case. It's not that I don't want to keep working with them, but I don't know what their plans is, and I just think right now I'm just happy that I have the chance to follow it all the way to the Olympics.
If we look at the Dutch single group, Johan and Marc living in Denmark, practicing mainly with you. Gail Mahulat living on Center of Excellence, Badminton Europe's Center of Excellence in Denmark. Soraya de Vis Eibergen living basically in Switzerland, also sometimes in the Netherlands. The single group is more or less non-existing in the Dutch Federation at the moment.
Yeah.
What's the reason behind that?
Yeah, the latest singles group is, of course, Soraya decided to move to Switzerland. So for a year and a half, actually, or a year actually, while I was still there, Gail was the only ladies singles there. I think there are some young girls who's coming up and has potential, but again, as the process I talk about with Johan, we are 3, 4, maybe 5 years away from that. So there would be a gap for that, and that's also what Gail's option was, to go out and train elsewhere. Of course, she can also stay in the Netherlands and train with the young girls, but the gap at the moment is a little bit too big. And with the men's singles, we also have some few young guys who has the potential also. But I think a little bit from a player's perspective, you want to get the most out of us also when you are in your prime of your career. And so say that I think that the players maybe are not at a stage now where they just want to go back and give back. They also want to try to maximize the potential, and that's the thought behind it. And I think with the men's singles, the conclusion was that for the short period here for the Olympics, this is the best setup we could provide them by going to Denmark. And even though I think that the setup in Arnhem, in Papendal was good, I still think that we have a little bit more options in Denmark now than we had back then. And
same, as far as I hear it, same goes for Gail actually.
Yeah.
It's the right choice for her to practice at Center of Excellence compared to staying back home in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of talks with Gail when I was also there, and I think also Gail is at a stage in her career where she wants to get the maximize out of it. The young girls is good and training fine, but I think also she needed a little bit change of environment. That's my perspective on it. To try to see if she can take the next step also. So I think it was a good choice for her, and it's like I said earlier also, I think the overall goal should always be to try to create the best possible training setup in your own country. At the moment in the Netherlands, for the ladies and the men's singles, at least for this year, it's more suitable to bring it to Denmark, I think.
If we look back, we find recently, we find Erik Pang, who's been doing well for the Netherlands. We find Judith Molenbeek, who also did well in women's singles. From those two and until now, there's been a gap. It seems like it's a bit hard for the Netherlands to produce that unique talent who actually aims for a medal, or maybe not aims, but at least fight for that medal in the last stage. For instance, we saw Marc bow out, I think it was in the quarterfinal at the European Games in 2019. Gail and Soraya also struggling with making it to the last 4 or last 8. What's the reason that it's actually so hard for the Netherlands, who actually has a quite good badminton culture, to make that step further?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit difficult to answer exactly what's the reason is. My experience is that it's a good system that's working hard. I also have a relatively good structure. Sometimes you also you need some talent also, of course, but there's no doubt that they have to do. They have to be even more ambitious at the earliest stage to bring the players up, give them the skills set, so they can compete at the highest level. And I think now you say Erik is actually my age group. I think some of these players, you can also take Diki, for example, very skillful players in the youth. You did also very good in the youth. So I've not been down in the system enough to say exactly what it is, but I think the Netherlands is producing over time quite a lot of talent, but they need to keep doing that. They need to keep working hard with all the talents that are actually coming out of the clubs, and see if they can develop it further.
When I look at, for instance, at Gail and Soraya, I do not expect them to beat, for instance, Carolina Marin.
No.
When I see Marc, I don't expect him to beat players like Victor Axelsen or Anders Antonsen, but I know that on a very good day of Marc, and maybe not that good day of Anders and Victor, it might actually be a close call. When I look at the doubles, then I expect Selena and Robin actually to maybe even be the favorite to win a European Championships. Why is it easier? Don't misunderstand me. Nothing is easy in this sport. But why is it easier for the doubles categories? Because we saw the same with Jaakko and Celine, a very decent pair. We have also seen the men's doubles actually doing quite good. So with the women's doubles.
Yeah, but I think also that it's a little bit the same if you see in Denmark. Sometimes you catch some years where you just have more talent than others, and the group with Jaakko and Selena and Jelle and Robin coming up, and he's still within an age where he can be in his prime. Hopefully he has many years to go, as the same as Selena. so you're catching some players who are actually developing a lot at the same time. Jaakko played with Selena for a period. Robin is taking over. Selena has been producing at a very high level for many years. So I don't know if I think it has a little bit to do with luck that they had a very strong group back then. I also think they were the ones who actually challenged the Danes the most in the youth. So I don't think there's any specific reason why it happened. It's just that you are lucky to have a lot of talent in the same age areas, and that has produced the Afi and Selena quarterfinal of the Olympics. And we have been very, also when I started, Robin was still relatively young, so I've also seen him develop for 3 years. So sometimes things just click at the right ages, and now we have a mixed double where they complement each other, and they have a potential to go even further. So that might be some of the reason that we have been lucky in Netherlands to have some talent who was good at the same time.
If we look beyond Tokyo 2020 and looking further for instance, Paris 2024 or even further, then are you positive or are you concerned for the badminton in Netherlands?
I'm very positive. I mean, we mentioned a little bit about the talent thing, where I say I think Netherlands is producing a lot of good badminton players. I think in the ladies doubles category with Deborah, Jille, Alyssa, Imke, who's injured at the moment, we might have the biggest talent group in Europe, ladies double wise and mixed double player wise. Selena still hopefully can go another cycle. So I'm pretty positive also. You see Robin, Ruben, still Marc and Johan can go for many years. But the thing is, you cannot rest on this. I mean, you have to use this as a building block, as a motivating to say. Also, the training environment, the thing also, when I started in the Netherlands with Marc and Johan, I tried also to create a training environment with the men's singles, and I also say then it's your job one day to pass this knowledge on, to say this is how we train here, because the thing we do in everyday practice is the one who's also going to reflect the level we're going to have in the future. So to answer your question, if we can keep all the good vibes going that we have now, the good training environment that's in the doubles, if we can keep that, giving this knowledge further on and further into the new generation, then I'm positive. So I think we have an opportunity in the Netherlands now to really create a good culture for training, because we have a lot of good players in different categories who has actually world-class potential.
The European men's and women's team championship is coming soon. What should we expect from the Netherlands in Louvain, France?
You're talking about Thomas and Uber Cup?
Qualification.
Yeah. Well, the little bit easy answer for me is to say that I may not be the one who decides what the goal is. It's probably going to be Ruud back home in the Netherlands. I think we actually have some strong teams. In the ladies, the ladies actually can produce 2 very good ladies doubles. We can also produce 3 decent ladies singles. So, and for the men's part, we actually have 3 very okay men's singles. We still have a Nick Fransman who's training with us in the Netherlands. So you never know, actually. So if we feel a team, I definitely think we can qualify both.
If you look at the teams and the names, a medal at the European Championships for men's teams and women's teams, is that actually an option here, or is that too far to go?
I personally think the men's team is the second best behind Denmark. The ladies is a little bit more difficult to say, but we have 2 very good ladies doubles. That's always a good start. And you see also with both Gail and Soraya, they have a level where they can win a match against somebody. So the men's definitely have a chance, and the ladies is I will call it a dark horse for a medal. But the men's has probably a better chance than the ladies has.
We saw at the European Mixed Team Championships in Copenhagen 2019 that it was actually a very young group of Dutch players going. Does that actually give something to that upcoming championships, that we saw the young players also got time on court? Or doesn't it matter at all, actually? Sorry,
if they will have playing time, the young players? Yeah, I mean, it will be young. Also, if you say, for example, right now it's Deborah and Imke is our second best ladies double. They're very young, and the one who will play the last ladies singles, she'll be very young. So it will be young players coming in, and this is also an area where Johan, for example, will have a quite important role if he wants to win a medal. So we're not gonna pull out any old players, if that's what you're thinking. That I don't think so. So yeah, and I think the Netherlands is like, if you say we have like Jelle and Selena, the oldest one, and they're not even 30 yet. So it is a young squad, and this is why it has been quite fun to work with, because it's not old players past their prime. It's young players who has still a lot of left in the tank to develop and wants to develop. So yeah, it's going to be young for the Netherlands, I'm sure.
We also have European Championships, of course, in 2020. It's been a while since we have seen a Dutch player taking more than just one medal. especially in the singles category, which is actually your area. Will we see a Dutch player getting a European Championship medal in singles in 2020?
I would say yes.
Yes.
I truly believe that Marc has the potential to get a medal. I respect a lot of the European players, and I also tell him that a lot, that there's a lot of these players that is extremely good and difficult to beat. At the moment, I see Anders and Victor as the one who's untouchable, not unbeatable, but of course, but the one where you say you will need, as you mentioned, an extremely good day, or maybe not so good day for them to beat them. The rest, I think he has a fair chance against. I would like his chances against all of them on any day.
Jonas, I think that should be the final word. Let's see if Marc gets that medal,
Yeah.
and good luck to you both, to all of you, to qualify as many Dutch as possible for sure for the Olympics. It's going to be interesting. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching this podcast provided by Badminton Europe.